The first mindset shift is recognizing that you're the world's majority. Them other people make up less than 10% of the world's population. And once you realize that, the stakes aren't so high. You could kind of realize, oh, I can figure this out. I'm not a minority, I'm actually in the majority. We will survive this. I know some people looking like me solving some real world issues, not just creating companies to make a whole lot of money with no real impact on people's lives. Anybody rushing you to make a decision, just go ahead and walk away. Yeah, that's one. Two, if you have that feeling, but then you try to overcompensate it with, oh, I feel like I'm gonna miss out if I don't do it, you might get got. That's why I don't suggest people start here. When you don't have to report to SEC, there's a lot of people showing up a lot of different ways because they know people don't really know what they're doing.
This is the Commercial Builders Network, where trust is restored, power is reclaimed, and legacy is built. Let's get to work. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of the Commercial Builders Network. My name is Tanisha Reed. I am your host, and we have the amazing, the brilliant, the beautiful Ionnie McNeill. Yeah, I know you didn't want me to say your last name, I'm saying it anyway. She is an investor extraordinaire. She's a global sensation. All right. She is here to give you some tips. Ione, please introduce yourself. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Tanisha. How you doing?
I'm awesome. And she's a fellow bison.
There you
Hey,
go.
you.
You know.
We in there.
I
How you
know.
doing today? So what's new? What's new? What's rocking?
I just got home like less than, I guess, 12 hours ago, 13, 14 hours ago from Kenya and Zambia. So my body clock is still on East African time, but I'm happy to be here with you.
You
Chop
know,
it up.
I feel special. Special.
You
are
are
here.
special.
Thank you. That special ed though was special.
I got it made.
Hey, it's been a long time.
Should have left you. But I'd have dope beat the step two.
We gonna have to get through this interview now, okay?
Listen.
Now, please introduce yourself to the people and tell them what you're known for.
Sure. So, man, I guess when you phrase it like that, I'm actually known as the Baby Billionaire. I did not make up that name. Somebody named me that.
Speak life.
When I was much younger, I started learning about investing at 7. I was investing in elementary school, opened up and maxed out my Roth IRA since I was 14. And even in between that time, I was teaching other kids as a kid investing. So I've been a member of Better Investing since 2000. And I just joined the National Board of Directors in 2020. And I'm known as an investor. I started off in the public markets, investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ. But then in the last 5 years, I ventured into the private markets, private capital. Basically, it means stuff that's not regulated by the SEC, stuff that's usually reserved for accredited investors. But that's how I got into private debt deals. And I've been eating on private debt deals for the past 5 years, and it's really shift my investing philosophy from investing for the long-term future, for my retirement, focusing on compound interest, to realizing that's a great way to start when you don't have a lot and you want to really secure your future. But once you get that snowball rolling, and you also are saving and investing other monies in the meantime, then you can do different deals when you have a lot of money. So for example, it's like, if you only got a little bit of money, you got to go to the corner store. But if you got a lot of money, you can go to the wholesaler. And so that's been my recent experience in the last 2 to 5 years of like, oh, let me move money I had in my brokerage account to these private debt deals that's actually paying me monthly and quarterly. Oh, I just created my own monthly salary income. Oh, I just created my own annuity. Oh, I don't gotta work. Oh, oh, shit. We here.
We here. So
We here.
explain to the people what private debt deal is.
So private debt deal. So investing works two ways. You have debt and you have equity. So debt is a loan, right? So we know it as a mortgage, student loan, car loan. We're usually, when we deal with debt, we're usually on the receiving side and somebody else is the borrower, like the bank. Excuse me. And then now with the, I think, Secure 2.0 Act and crowdfunding opening up, a lot of people are getting into this private equity space or trying to invest in startups. And so that explains equity, meaning you're going to give somebody money for part ownership in their company. Whereas a loan is, I'm going to lend you this money at a set rate, interest rate, and you're going to pay me back over time. So those are the two ways that you show up as an investor. Equity, buy Apple stock, Verizon stock, whatever it is, or stock in a, newly formed company, startup, pre-seed, whatever, or debt. So if you're buying Apple bonds or AT&T bonds, or you're loaning a corporation or organization money and they're paying you back a set interest rate over time. So, excuse me, with me doing private debt deals, I started off in, and I don't get paid for this. This is just being transparent. The company is based out of Dallas called MAG, MAG, MAG Capital Partners. So they have a industrial real estate syndicate where they're restructuring deals, corporate deals, and they take or invite people to be limited partners in that deal. So, for example, the best way I can explain it is you have a manufacturing company that owns the building, they own the land, they own the equipment, they own all these things. So that means if they own it, it's on their balance sheet as an asset. Let's say they want to free up some cash flow. So that means they're willing to sell the building that they're in and go from being the owner to being the tenant. Right? So they sell the building, they get that cash, but they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay in place. And now they sold us the building. We become the owners of the building, but now we have a tenant in place that has agreed to 2 to 3% rent increases for the next 5, 7, 10 years.
Ooh, that's
So
good.
yeah, so it's a different type of real estate. You're not out here fixing no house, finding no, tenant, on nobody list and betting. No. It's just one of those things, like it's just like a small, quiet restructuring things that needs capital up front, and then you get paid back interest over time, and you get your principal back. You get what they call like cash on cash return, or interest and dividends over time. You'll get a split of the profit at the end of executing the deal, whether it's 1, 3, 5 years, and then you'll also get your principal back. So once I got a taste of that, then I was like, oh, so that money's sitting over there. I can now, this is where it went from I'm investing 30, 40, 50 years into the future to be like, oh, I can actually do deals to where I'm eating now. So the thing about investing, you generally make money one of two ways, if not both ways. You're buying something at a low price, and you're hoping for what's called capital appreciation over time. So the people that bought Microsoft, Apple stock before the tech bubble of 2000 back in the 90s, right? We was looking at that stock when it was less than $20, right? So we bought it, and then over 20, 30 years, now it's, past 200, 500, what, $1,000, whatever the case may be. So that's capital appreciation. The other way you make money is if the company, while using your money, pays you dividends. So there's a thing, if you own stock that pay dividends and you're investing for the long term, one things you could do is click a box that says reinvest my dividends. So I was 2002, I was in high school, I bought $2,000 worth of Home Depot stock. 2022, that $2,000, because I had dividends reinvested, had turned to 40 grand.
Mm.
I hadn't touched it, hadn't added nothing more to it. I just invested it and left it and let the dividends every quarter that Home Depot paid, it actually went and bought fractional shares, right? So the same with when you're with debt, right? The way a bank is going to make money on your mortgage is they're going to loan you amount up front. You're going to pay them interest over the life of the loan. And we all know if you did a mortgage interest calculator, you're paying 2 to 3x time the amount that you borrowed.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'm the bank.
Basically, I'm the bank. I love that. So we're going to take it back a little bit. You said that you started investing at 9 years old. How did that shape your confidence as an investor right now?
I think it was fundamental. Yeah, it was such a part of my formative years that it shaped my identity. It also gave me the tools I needed to do life smartly. We think about being in school, you come to this age where, either you or you can recall your friends being like, well, I need to know this. Well, I don't need this in the real world.
Yeah.
But if you learning how to invest in the 3rd grade, then your relationship to learning multiplication division changes now. Because I know what a PE ratio is. I have to use this stuff in my other life outside of school, which is analyzing stock. So you learn that it's not just multiplication tables, it's multiplication, well, let's call it division. Division is the relationship between things. The relationship between things. So when you're driving on the highway and it says 80 miles per hour, it's the speed in relationship to time, right? And then you take that to investing, you have a PE ratio. Oh, I'm looking at Netflix stock and they stock just split. And people ask me all the time, is this price too high? They feel like something's too expensive. It's always in relationship to something else. You have to look at price in relationship to earnings, right? So that's where your PE ratio come in. And then, once to me, having that level of understanding now, was like 5 years ago, talking to my little brother, and he looking at moving from working at this company, working at that company. I'm like, there's getting the bag, and then there's getting the bag in relationship to how much effort that job takes.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you could work at a startup and make the most money of your life, but it's going to be the most input. Yeah. So it may not be the best thing. You may need to stay where you at, because you making good money with the least amount of effort. So, that's just kind of 3 quick examples of how I think for me, learning investing at such an early age, it helped me to not just apply math to the real world, but it helped me to understand the real value of money, and then money in relationship to time. And then, from there, I just was able to make decisions that other people couldn't make based on the information that I had and the observations I was making, in the world around me with adults that didn't have the information that that I had. I was willing to take those risks. Yeah.
So with your parents, how did they influence you learning this stuff so early? Were you just like a part of a program, or they actually were instrumental in you actually learning this material?
So the best way, excuse me, I could answer that question is that my mother was the most instrumental because she took me to investing classes like she took me to church, right?
Love it.
She just took me. I sat there, I listened, I asked questions, and just by being in the proximity of it, I learned it, you
Mm,
know. My dad, he was instrumental in teaching me math from an application perspective. On every Saturday we would go to the mall, we would window shop, always going to stores, looking at stuff, barely buying. But those trips with him, I remember we're always going to the sales rack, and then sometimes the sales rack would have a extra, percentage off. So my quality time was him asking me, what's the price of this? Okay, this is the price on the tag. That's the price above. It's 50% off plus an additional 75% off. So having to do percentages in my head and subtraction in my head, yeah, and being frugal at nature. That's kind of what I learned from my dad.
awesome, awesome. That's
Mm.
dope. I mean, that to me, that's true legacy. Like imparting these things in your children early so that they can, because like I'm gonna tell you now, the people who kids are, um, and go so consumed with their devices. I saw this little girl the other day walking home from school, and she stopped on the middle of the side of the street and just was on her phone. I could tell she was playing a game, and I'm like, it's really an addiction. Like, where is the substance at where kids are barely reading now? And you're telling me you were investing at 9.
Yeah,
That's super dope.
yeah,
And it's important, I think, for the parents to take more action. And even if things that you're learning, what I'm saying, it's not too early for your child to learn. So I love that she was taking you there, like she was taking you to church.
yeah.
Hallelujah. All right. So, as a fellow bison,
Mm.
how did the pride and perspective of being a bison shape your confidence in investing? Or did it?
That's a great question. I think it did unconsciously.
Mhm.
It's one thing to be smart because, as we just discussed, I knew how to invest before I came to college.
Right.
So one of the book, and I just shared this book with somebody, The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. And I bring that book up as a plug for people to read it, to understand that when we do go to college, we get trained a certain way.
Mhm.
And it's important for you to understand who you was trained to serve. It's like
Mm.
people that go get accounting degrees and they can go and work at an accounting firm or at a corporation accounting department, and they can manage millions, billions of dollars, but they haven't yet applied it to their own household.
Mm. Ooh, if that ain't a word.
That's the gem of that book, right? The
Mm.
Miseducation of Negro by Carter G. Woodson. He's basically informing us that we're being trained to serve the colonizer and have yet not seen the value of having our own, using that knowledge for our own benefit.
Mhm.
So I think, to your question, it being around all these other, highly intelligent, highly successful, highly diversified Black folks that look like me, that are doing their own thing, their own career, their own interests, their own businesses. Yeah. Um, it helped with the confidence that I'm not alone. because I was raised by an entrepreneur. My mother's an entrepreneur. So I already came with some things, but then when you realize that you're not alone with your peers, you tend to thrive more than feeling like, you was prepared, but now it's still only you. So I think
Yeah.
that's the true benefit of Howard and my confidence. It more so shored up my foundation from home.
Awesome. Awesome. So you invest differently. You invest more for impact, not for the hype, not for the cloud. How did you know that investing was your calling?
I think just now you just made me realize investing was my calling.
That's
I
awesome.
thought I was taking the easy way out of life. Um, yeah, honestly, like I started to mention 5 years ago, I was investing in industrial real estate deals here in America, right? So we got to start somewhere. And making money is nice until I went to Zambia and somebody put in my ear that I should invest in a private equity company that I saw like the effects of their work. And after talking to the founder and coming back home and thinking about investing, I said to myself, if I can invest in some white boys that I've never met before, then I can invest in this African man that I have met and I have seen the evidence of his work. And that's actually what even drew me to the investment. One, I met some of the businesses that his company had been working with, and I didn't know what the company was. I just saw Panda Africa. It was an event. They had a step and repeat, and people was taking pictures, and they had the big checks that they won the business plan competition. But then when I was talking to him, asking questions about the business model, what does he do, trying to understand, and I realized, oh, I understand it because that's the type of work that I do home, which is, for example, we're living in a new America now, but before the new regime, people had government contracts because, they had historically been discriminated against. And even though they may have done all the work to prepare, had all the skill sets, they had won the contract, they still had trouble getting financing.
Absolutely.
So when I started my business, it was to come in and solve that gap here in America. How could I provide access to capital, loans, friendly financing to Black government contracting firms, especially those in the airport concession space, provide them the money they needed to fulfill their contract to get them, because that's really the last hurdle. They did all the work. They got all the connects. They landed the contract. Now it's time for build out and they don't have no money, right? So then they end up back in this, I call it the residue of colonialism. And so that was the problem I was solving. So then to go to Zambia for something totally different, run into this guy that's doing what I was doing without me even telling him what I was doing back home. The investor side of me wakes up, which is, and let me step back and explain the epiphany I had as a child, what an investor is. An investor is somebody that takes money and loans it or invests it or gives it to a business that's already succeeding. Right. So whenever I bought stock on the stock market, I'm looking at the past 5-10 years worth of financial statements, balance sheet, income statements, blah, blah, blah. I'm investing in a winning team. Right. I'm investing in a company that already has a track record, right, of profitability, upward trend of sales, keeping the expenses on track, and then sometimes also a track record of a dividend. And if they do pay a dividend, it's been increasing. So it's no different than a bank. A bank lends money to people that don't need money. That's how they make sure they get their money back.
Yeah, that's real.
Right? So really great investors usually do the same thing. So if I meet a man who's doing what I'm doing, but in his own home country, and he's been able to make money for investors, right? And he's also selective about the investors he's bringing in. Then I go from trying to solve a problem back home to realizing I can just simply become an investor in something that's already working in this other place, which is in Zambia. So I started investing in his company, Panda Africa. And then, after trying him out for a quarter, realized he pays on time. Then I upped my investment. And then over some more time, I upped my investment. So it's been a great experience. But to answer the question about impact, in doing that investment, then I realized my money first of all, I'm an American, right? I'm African American. So my dollar here is worth even more there. Then too, the people that he's employing, the people that he's loaning to, all of that, they look like me, which was my intention back home. So he really helped me because I was looking to build something he had already built. So I'm just jumping on a moving train that's already successful. And so that's how I started investing in Zambia, but more importantly, realizing how I could fundamentally start investing via impact. Because this was really the first opportunity where I could make money, but also help impact the lives of people that look like me. And then also help the environment with, the type of products and services that they're providing. So I'm new to impact investing, but now it's one of my major requirements because, again, Miseducation of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson, or even the ISIS papers by Francis Cress Welsing. There comes a point, and I came to this point in my life about a year or two ago, where you realize, or at least I realized, I can't speak for other people, but I realized I had enough. Not in terms of frustration, like it sounds, but I had enough money. And once you get to a place of enough, now you can start making different decisions. It's like, to me, being in America, being African American, we haven't yet interrogated the systems we live in. So, for example, if Bank of America, Wells Fargo comes out with a CD at 4 or 5%, we're going to run down there and buy that CD. But then we know 5 business owners that go to Bank of America and Wells Fargo to get a loan and they can't get one. So we have yet to make the connection that Bank of America is borrowing our money in the form of a CD and not lending it to us. Right. So how else are we going to realize that we're contributing to the discrimination against us because we haven't slowed down enough to understand our part in it?
Oh, that's nasty work. Is you preaching or is you preaching? Goodness gracious.
But once you have enough, you can slow down enough to realize the decisions I'm making, where I'm putting my money. A lot of people, they talk about the consumer side. Oh, buy black, buy this, buy that.
Yeah.
But what about the money side? Once I gave my money over to Panda Africa, I told everybody else, Apple don't need no more of my money. None. Microsoft don't need no more of my money. And I'm not saying we shouldn't invest. I still have those stocks. but you're realizing you're giving money to the companies that don't hire you, that won't give your child no scholarship, that just back such and such president to say such and such thing. They don't have to go to the bank for that money. Why? Because you keep buying their stock. Now, yes, you're going to grow and you're going to make money, but at what expense?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with it. Like, you know, I don't have no mortgage. Like, I don't have those kind of bills that keep me in the rat race. And so, you know, consequently, I've been able to, realize like, nah, we could literally, I ain't doing no ancestry DNA, but every African country that I done been to, they done claim me. So why not put my money over there? And I know who it's going to impact. Like, who need the, whatever you call it, the UN or whatever, the World Bank. Yeah, keeping these African countries indebted.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got enough money to, if they wanted some debt, they could carry our debt. They could pay us what they paying them.
Sure enough.
So that's where I'm at with it. And I think that's what, you know, my new company, ACDBE Capital, is doing, which is providing people an opportunity to make higher interest through loans, but loans with impact, you know, loans given out and paid back by people that look like us. So, so it's been a good journey so far in investing with impact.
Awesome. Awesome. So before this, I know that you focus mainly on syndication, industrial syndication. Can you explain what that is for those who don't understand what syndication and how that works?
Yeah. So what a syndication is a group of people getting together to do a deal. So like I used the example about the manufacturing company that wants to do this deal. You generally have a general partner that has sourced the deal, is bringing the deal together, and then you have what's called limited partners. That's people that's bringing money into the deal for the general partner to execute the deal. So, the syndication is really an opportunity for you to do an investment without all the laborious work that we usually tie into real estate investing. And I frame it that way because I know, you know, Tanisha, when we spoke before the interview, I told you that my experience investing in the public sector, so the public markets, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, it gave me the experience of being a passive investor, right? I just invest my money. I get paid dividends quarterly. Everything is already taken care of. I don't have to call Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and tell him how to run his business. Right? And so because I already have 20 years of investing like that, anything new that I get into, I have that same level of expectation. That's why I don't invest in startups. You know, I'm not interested in giving you money and then trying to tell you how to run your business.
Yeah.
Because that's too much like work. Right? And if I wanted to go to work, I would get a job. But as an investor, I'm giving you the money. You already have the plan of how to make the money with my money, right? So that's what a syndication is. It's a more passive way to invest. And they have industrial, commercial, and real estate syndications, but I specialize in industrial.
So
Manufacturing facilities, warehouses, that type of stuff.
Okay. So for somebody, a little follow-up to this, who is brand new to this syndication or passive, true passive investing, what does the everyday life look like for somebody who got the big bucks like you?
You're probably reading and thinking, that's it. It don't require much. So the beautiful part about real passive investing, and the deals I do as a limited partner, they're usually done within like 15 minutes, right? I get the contract, I read through the contract, I sign the contract, I send it back, and I wire money. That's it. That's all I do. That's all I do.
You got me rethinking life over.
Listen, because then after you do that, then that person, granted they're for real, then you get on a payment schedule. It's either monthly or quarterly dividends. But you don't do no work. I mean, that's all you're doing. And that is, I learned this to your question about Howard, right? I already knew about investing, but I was in the honors program in the School of Business at Howard, and we took a trip. I think it was JP Morgan, and I remember it clear as day. And there were 3 sections of the investment bank. The first was the trading floor. The second was M&A, which stands for mergers and acquisitions. And the third was research. And I don't remember this gentleman's name, but I do remember him. And that was the first time, that professionally I had been exposed to the investment bank and, the different arms that make up an investment bank, and understanding investing from a corporate setting, right? Because I've always understood investing as an individual, personal setting. Mm-hmm. So when I went through trading, I didn't last. I went through M&A, and it was, oh, this is interesting. I probably could do this. Then I went to research, and I said, oh, that's what I've been doing this whole time. And one of the statements he said that I've never forgotten was, we get paid to make decisions.
I love that.
Yeah, they get paid just to do research and then make decisions. So I had to give that backstory to just better answer the question of what is it like in a day of my life. It really is just at certain times during the day, I have to make a decision. And therefore, I make money based on the decisions that I make, as opposed to physical effort or mental effort. It's mainly based on the decisions.
So how much money do you need to have to actually start being a decision maker?
You could do that without no money. That's the best way to start.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think to your question about how much you need to get started, kind of like in private debt deals.
The syndications or both?
Yeah, it depends on the syndication. I know that, let's say, for example, the 1 year 9% CD that I'm offering, the minimum is 10,000. But I put at 10,000 because a lot of deals that I got started in, the minimum was $50K, $70K. Now they're up to like $250K. But yeah, it depends on the type of syndication and who's doing it. But it's usually probably going to be in that $50K range, unless you look up with somebody that is meeting the needs of where people are.
Okay.
And that's what I've started to do, to just make an exception, because to me it's more about the experience of that passive income. That's why I've even lowered it for certain people that I knew less than 10K, because it's not about the money. To me, it's about how can we provide you a safe experience, training wheels into this,
and that builds trust.
Yeah. And to your point, so far, many people that have decided to move forward with me is because they already trust me. And so I've learned a lot about them and myself, because this is actually also the first time that I've ever did anything based on that trust. So this is new for me, but it is something I'm happy to do, though, because like I mentioned before, I feel like it's time, and also I'm ready, and also I was already in a space of enoughness to where I can not just focus on investing with impact on that side of the world, but slow down enough to provide that investing experience for people that I know on this side.
Mm. So a lot of people chase big returns and end up hurt. What are some red flags that people should look out for? These new investors should be watching for.
Feeling rushed. Anybody rushing you to make a decision, just go ahead and walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one. Two, if you have that feeling, but then you try to overcompensate it with, oh, I feel like I'm gonna miss out if I don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
you might get got. Yeah.
Mm.
So those are some of the red flags, like inconsistent information. And that's why I don't suggest people start here, and why we walk through my history, because I have a history of analyzing companies, public companies that already have to report to the SEC. So that means companies going to show up a certain way. When you don't have to report to SEC, there's a lot of people showing up a lot of different ways
Mm-hmm.
because they know people don't really know what they're doing. It's a lot of people investing that really don't know what investing is, but they have a lot of money. And so, you get got that way.
So aside from the ones that you were evaluating in the beginning, who have the, I guess, the track record, who are SEC
Mhm.
regulated, what are you evaluating in a potential deal before you say yes?
Most of the time, you're evaluating those things, the information they provide to you, but then you're also evaluating their character. And that's where your gut becomes even more important, right? You don't know them, or you know them, but you're not honest with yourself about them,
About who they are for real.
for real. Yeah, so you're holding on to hope more so than taking that person's character into account or track record into account. You're hoping that they will be able to pull it off this time or do better this time.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start thinking like that, don't be disappointed if they didn't pull through and change. Yeah. So this industry requires a lot more emotional intelligence, and the ability to read people and trust your gut. But with that, you have to develop the skills of discernment, discretion, and discipline. Discernment, discretion, and discipline. You could do that without money. And it's best to build that up without money first.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you deal with smaller amounts of money, and then it goes to bigger amounts of money. But that's the skill that's going to be most important.
Mm. So I had a client who was a millionaire here in America, took his money back home to good old Africa and got. I mean, they took everything. He tried to come back here and rebuild, and having a tough time redoing that. A lot of online is promoting, do business in Dubai, come to Ghana. You go come spend. You want to spend your money, you want it to stretch, do it here. What's the difference between true global investment versus one that is dressed like one?
Well, the first thing I would say, y'all need to go watch some Vice videos, because Vice, they do a real good job of showing the
What's that?
scams. Vice, VICE.
Mm, I might be oblivious. The
Your
audience might know.
audience knows, they'll look it
Okay.
up. But Vice, they be showing like the dark side of things.
Mm,
So watch, Vice videos of money laundering and this and that. But I would say, to your question, more often than not, if it's dressed like it, it is a scam.
mm,
We like to invest in people that look good, and we forget that the best people, the best manipulators know that that's what we rely on. We rely on the eye more than the mind.
mhm.
We rely on the charisma more than the substance, you know, people that's talking the truth, but they talking too slow. You know, they're not polished enough. Yeah, that's when you get got. When you too impressed. You don't know the questions to ask and all of that. But yeah, how do you know a great global investment opportunity versus a scam is usually dressed very well. If it's too polished, if they can't admit any downturns or mistakes or no vulnerabilities,
That's good.
it's like a bad relationship. You don't even want to walk into that because it ain't never gonna be their fault. It's just gonna look good, and at the end, it's gonna be all your fault.
So social media has a tendency to start to confuse people the difference between investing and trading, right? How do you advise people to, I guess, find their lane in seeing the difference between the two?
That's a great question. I suggest people do all the things that interest them, but do it quick. I think a lot of people spend too much time trying to make a decision as opposed to making a decision, learning from it, and then making a different decision. They could have made 5 decisions, one after the other, learning from each one in the time it took them to make the first decision to get started to invest. So if you want to trade stock, trade it. If you want to do options, do it. If you want to buy crypto, do it. But please do it and be done. And get off my line. Talk about what you planning to do. Do it. So that then we can move on. Because by then, you would have known, oh, this fits my style. I like this. I don't like that. Now we can, go deeper. But yeah, I think the internet and social media got too many people thinking they doing something and they ain't doing much of nothing.
So what is the mind shift that you feel like Black investors need to do when getting into this industry, building their confidence, and actually looking for larger wealth building strategies and opportunities?
The first mindset shift is recognizing that you're the world's majority. Them other people make up less than 10% of the world's population. And once you realize that, the stakes aren't so high. You could kind of realize, oh, I can figure this out. Oh, I'm not a minority. I'm actually in the majority. Oh, we will survive this. Oh, I know some people looking like me solving some real world issues, not just creating companies to make a whole lot of money with no real impact on people's lives. So I would say connect with the African world physically, not just online, but go there and you be in you thought Atlanta was good. You ain't been to Nairobi. Yeah. Like you could go days without seeing people that look like somebody else. And they cutting deals, they create technology, they got their whole world ecosystem. And again, that's why I say, it's not just about what you know, but it's like what new experiences what new experience or experiences are you putting your body through? So everybody's on this travel bug now, but travel to Africa, not to invest, just to visit.
Yeah.
That goes to the other question too. When I went to Zambia, I wasn't looking to invest. When I visited Kenya, I wasn't looking to invest. I went for a birthday party, And I think too, that's what helps keep the charlatans at bay and the scammers at bay when you're not out looking for opportunity. Because if you just doing your thing, not related to trying to come up, trying to make money, to the skilled eye, when you see an opportunity, you can take advantage of the opportunity. But when you looking for opportunity, people sense that. And they know they hungry. They know you hungry. And they probably could sense that you greedy. And they probably could sense that you needy. And then they gonna get you. And it's not just you. Like you said, it's them. I just texted a girl that I met on the plane on Kenya Airways. And she went home for 2 weeks to visit her family and hang out, chill out. And she just texted me back last night. She was like, yeah, I was looking to buy land and they was trying to scam me. She Kenyan.
Right. That's wild.
Scammers are scammers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, discernment, discretion, discipline, that's what you're going to need. Even I've been scammed. I'm not above it, but I've been scared by my favorite word here in America.
Me too.
2 African-American men. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see if it's a real scam. One, I feel like it's a scam. The other one, he just late on his payments. But, yeah, so it's no way to avoid those things, just like it's no way to, quote unquote, avoid bad relationships. But, you could, you have to go through those things to wise up, and learn from it and then make better decisions after that. So, it's there for a reason.
You've mentioned in a previous article that you were battling self-sabotage when you were starting to grow your money. What did that season teach you about patience and discipline?
Whew. So I'm going to start with this phrase that we've been saying this past week in Zambia and Kenya, but especially Zambia. There's a such thing as too much money. There's a such thing as too much money. We've seen it culturally. Somebody passes, they get their life insurance money. And the people that usually get life insurance money wasn't living with money. That's too much money. Too much money sometimes can ruin you. Of course, I didn't know that then. That's not why I made the decisions I made. But to answer your question about self-sabotage, when you don't have money and you're growing wealth, you're going to hit numbers you've never seen before. So I wasn't yet 30, but the Roth IRA had started and was maxing out since 14, had hit 100K before I was 30. 100K to a 20-something-year-old. And I'm investing to learn delayed gratification. But that's 100K though. And at that time too, I just moved back home. I could have cashed out and bought a house for 80K. And we know a lot of people, most people we know, who even if they've had retirement accounts have tapped it. So I think because my vision and my number of $1 million in my retirement account was so big from a child because of the time value of money chart that I saw, that's what helped me to not, self-sabotage and take the returns early. Because 10 years worth of compound interest is nice. 15 is nice. 20 is better. But if you tap in at 20, you're not going to be experienced 50 years of what it looks like. And so that's kind of, where you have to find that balance. And I'm not saying that anybody that taps their stuff, that's not a good idea. I don't know your situation. I know I didn't need to. And I knew that the reason I wanted to, I needed to check that first, right? So why did I even want that much money? It was so that I could be independent and I didn't have to depend on nobody. Okay.
Mhm.
So that means you don't want to learn the skills of being interdependent with other people. That's what you
Mhm.
need to work on.
Yeah.
Not making so much money you impenetrable, you not vulnerable, can't nobody hurt you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that's it was maybe about 10 years ago. I was so excited to see that money grow, but then because I did keep the patience, um stay patient and continue to let it grow to the like amount that I had originally set out, then now it's growing even faster and the number is getting even bigger, right? And so
Mhm.
I probably hit my number before 40 by 40. Um yeah. So that's what helped me. I think having a bigger vision and keeping to the vision, yeah, helped me through the self-sabotage.
I love that. If you could go back, would you take more risk?
Yes.
And what does that look like?
So I could have bought or convinced my mom to buy Berkshire Hathaway in middle school. At the time, the price was very high. And because we were starting and investing, that's where we were in our journey.
Mhm.
It just felt too high. I didn't understand yet the value of Berkshire Hathaway. And I mean, you could just look up Class A shares and take it from 1990 and realize how much money I would have had. But um, yeah, even though investing, and this may get to another question, but even though I was learning how to invest, I was also conservative in my investing,
Mhm.
still needing to be safe, which I think is okay because, like I mentioned before, the most important thing is to start. Over time, like even now, I'm learning how to take more risk, but I'm also comfortable with that risk because now I know how to evaluate risk better. So, yes, I wish I was more of a risk taker when I was younger, but I will say I did the best with what I had. And when when I look at myself within the continuum of my parents, my grandparents, my lineage, I'm continuing the risk taking, right? So it's one thing to look at myself as just an individual. Oh, I wish I had bought that house or bought that stock when I was this age and that age. But when you realize, your grandfather didn't finish the third or the eighth grade,
Mhm.
your father didn't finish high school, right? But if you then finish college and then you then start investing a little bit, you don't have to be no big risk taker. But within that continuum, you are moving all of us along. And
Mhm.
so that's what I would say to people too, to not get hung up on the regret and not taking as much risk, looking in the past and forgetting they were somebody else in the past. They not them in the past.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think it's about being kind to yourself and taking the risk that you're comfortable with at that time.
So what would you consider to be smart risk for somebody that's listening?
Depends on their situation.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't I didn't drop the gym that I don't have no mortgage to flex on nobody. It's to say I can take other kind of risks because I have removed the bills most people have, right? I also have a rule to never leverage or mortgage my house for an investment. So once you take the house thing off the market and you have a house to have a house for safety
Mhm.
and security, now you could take a whole lot more risk because you're not going to end up poor. You're not going to end up on the street.
It's interesting you said that because I have been looking at these trailers and stuff lately. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was sitting there like, what would life be mortgage free, not having to worry about that roof over your head? Like, with that extra money that you're earning, what could you do with that? It's like, it'd be nice to have a nice house, a big house and stuff like that, or a condo. But if I could pay this off in 2, 3 years and just not have that payment, what could that extra money actually build for my family in the future?
You can go out to eat and actually enjoy eating and drinking. Not, oh, I can't pay 20% tip. We don't even realize, you know what I mean? How much it affects the brain.
Yeah.
How much it affects us enjoying life because we carrying a financial burden. A mortgage, student loan, car loan, credit card debt.
Yeah.
So yeah, we may be spending money. Yeah, we may be looking good. But we all know that feeling on the inside, everybody inching. I really want this, but I don't know if I can afford it, or I'm going to get this. So that means, what am I going to let go this month? So I would recommend that to people because, when you think about money and what is it supposed to do for you, emotionally, that's what you want to feel.
Yeah.
You want to feel free enough to make decisions. Such and such acted up at work today. You got the freedom to cuss their ass out.
My bills is paid, okay?
Girl.
Remind me of Everybody Hates Chris. My man got 2 jobs, okay?
Yeah. So like you mentioned to me, like, girl, you just came back from East Africa for 3 weeks. Because I don't got no mortgage. Because I don't got no student loan debt.
Yeah, I got all.
Because I don't got no halfway paid Mercedes-Benz in my driveway that I got to make payments on whether or not I drive it.
Yeah, you put me in your suitcase though. One of them trips. I've been losing a little bit of weight. I don't know. This ain't really reflecting, but I can figure it out.
I got you.
Awesome. So, are you exploring more global impact opportunities or
you know what?
Or?
The Lord has been putting them in my path. I have not been looking for them. As I've been doubling down on Panda Africa, man, this trip, I went to a conference called Latitude 59, ended up coming across some really interesting, innovative entrepreneurs that solved me some really great problems, stuff we all take for granted. Like, for example, in most of Africa, Asia, people don't have piped gas. They have to use a gas cylinder to cook with. But then they also don't have no way of measuring how much gas is left while they cooking. So, part of life is it goes off. You started a meal, but you can't finish it. So now you got to coordinate, refilling, and all of that. So this company is called GasMat, GasMat, and they've developed a really cool technology to measure the amount of gas left based on the weight of the cylinder. And then, smart technology that's communicating with the router that then tells the supplier they have less than 1 kg of fuel or 3 to 5 cooking meals left. And, they're going to need a refill. So that's something that everybody lives with. That's a pain point everybody lives with. And the fact that this man, Mr. Kamau, has created this technology and is employing Kenyans to solve this world problem, I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Are there any opportunities that you're learning about that other people could, learn more about, follow you on, or join workshops or groups or anything like that?
I feel like this my Mike Jones moment.
Mike Jones. Who?
Mike Jones. Who? where he put out his phone number. Yeah, I mean, listen, my number is 561-352-4967. 561-352-4967.
Hold on, wait. Are you sure?
Mike Jones.
I mean, I guess you could always block him, but
Listen, I give my number out all the time. Most people don't even call.
I call. I bet you. I like, look.
And I answered, didn't I?
You sure did.
And
You
we
sure did.
here.
I know, but all right, because I'm waiting for this episode to blow up. Okay, I don't want a million people calling your phone talking about something.
Listen,
Yeah,
if a million people calling my phone with money,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
we
I don't want them calling you.
No,
I
to
want
give me money.
I'm talking about. I want them calling. They ain't got no money. They like, can I borrow some of your money? You said that you got some money. Can I hold some?
I'll tell them where to go.
Okay, cool. All right. Continue. How?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now I'm invested in Panda Africa and some other things. But what I've created is a 1-year 9% APY or annual interest CD note, where you put in a set amount of money, and I the next month start to pay you interest for 12 months. And at the end of 12 months, I return your principal, or you could decide to extend for another year. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm doing that so that people who want to get started in private credit, private debt deals, they could do so through my company. And yeah, the unique thing about the CD that I'm offering is that I'm paying the interest monthly, whereas if you were to go to the bank, they would hold your interest. You would earn it over the life of the term, but they would hold your interest. You wouldn't get paid the interest until they returned the principal. They return the principal and the interest to you at the end of the term, whether it be 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever. So this really allows people to experience what it feels like to be a passive investor, to start to get that interest paid to them monthly, as opposed to waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really great product that we're offering. And yeah, it's the money's going to great use. But even more importantly, the returns are better than you would get at any bank or credit union, which is 9%. So
awesome. So is that your ask? Any more asks that you would have in supporting your business and your vision?
Well, I would say it's not supporting my business, it's supporting you.
I love that.
Yeah, because I don't need your money.
Okay.
Yeah, I really created this for people. So if people are interested in their own growth and development and wanting to experience something like this safely and don't have the other amounts required to be an accredited investor in those other deals that I referred to, they could try it in a safe space over here. But nobody's obliged. I ain't gonna be out here begging nobody for no money now.
No. I'm just saying, do you have an ask for your business? Do you have an ask?
No.
Anything that you want to either promote or need support, or I guess you don't need support, but yeah.
I love support. No. I just plug it like that too, though, because I want to make it very clear to people why I'm offering what I'm offering.
Mm-hmm.
It's really for the benefit of them. It's not for the benefit of me.
Yeah.
Because if you don't give me your money, I get that 9%. Yeah. So it's really for the benefit, it's like a different form of philanthropy.
I love that.
Yeah. How are we creating opportunities for people to have the stepping stones to get to where we are? So that's the only thing I have. That's the most important thing I have. And as you could tell, I don't do too much. That's all I got. I ain't got 3, 4, 5, 20, 11 things for y'all. I got one thing for y'all.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And then you gave your number. You repeat it one more time because I don't know if I need to
Mike
put those.
Jones. Who? Mike Jones. So my number is 561-352-4967. You could call or text me. I get spam calls all the time. It's fine. I still answer them. You never know.
When you don't owe anybody, it's cool.
Listen, I don't. And I got people trying to act like, all these companies trying to send me money. I get texts all the time. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
report
it.
junk, delete, move on.
I love it. I thank you so much for your
Absolutely.
time.
Thank you for inviting me.